Okay guys, so welcome you all to the NetMinion Solutions. Let us start with our FI technology. Okay, I hope all of you are aware that FI Networks is a company and Big IP is the product suite of your FI company. Okay, and we have multiple of the product suites. Currently we are having Big IQs also and GIX also. So there are lot of others product available for your FI. Okay. Now let us move ahead and let us see about the big IP product suite family. Okay. So if you talk about the big IP suite family, there are multiple of the big IP products are available into the market. Howsoever, the mainly which is ruling the market is your LTM. LTM is your very first product which is providing you all kind of ADC, that is application delivery controller kind of stuff. It is taking care. It is not only performing the load balancing but a lot more than that. Okay, then GTM will come into the picture when you want an intelligent DNS kind of setup. You will require GTM. Then mostly you are able to see ASM is getting deployed all over around the world in maximum organization where there is a question of security or or to secure the vulnerability on your HTTP or HTTPS applications. Okay, so we will be discussing about LTM in this course. Later on we can talk about GTM and all also. So when people used to say that I wanted to learn LTM, somehow in their mind there is a picture that LTM is only used for load balancing, whereas this is a partial truth. Okay, LTM is doing the load balancing or no? So answer would be yes. LTM perform load balancing also, but more than that, there are lot of other usage also for your big IP LTM system. And when we will cover this course in subsequent slides also, you will get to know that okay, what is the use of LTM. Okay, so here you can see how the packet is flowing. Packet is coming from the client through the internet, or maybe either it is MPLS, either it is lease line, or whatever it is. We don't care about that. Once the packet is reaching to this application servers, or we can say to the applications, the packet will not go to the application directly. Whereas in between the client and in between the servers, there is one more thing which is residing, and that is your big IP system. Okay, so your big IP system is sitting in between your big IP system is sitting in between client and last hop servers. So that is how it is securing, or when we are using ASM kind of module, and it is doing providing multiple of the stuff which we will be checking later on. Okay, when it is working as LTM also. So one of the thing I have already covered in our demo also. Okay, last week I hope some of you were present into the demo. So we covered that LTM can provide your encrypted and uncrypted kind of traffic. So what is that? I hope you guys are aware about HTTPS. Okay, so HTTPS is secure connection. Okay, how it is getting secured? Using your SSL encryption or maybe TLS. In nowadays it is known as TLS, but somehow people have the common jargon with SSL, so we can go with the SSL also. So when we are saying that the packet is coming encrypted in between your big IP to the client, it means your HTTPS traffic is coming on. When we are saying the packet is unencrypted between your big IP client and your LAN, so it means your unencrypted means HTTP or the plain traffic is going on. Okay, so it all depends how you are using this kind of setup. Is also known as SSL offloading. That is a very favorite question of your interviewers. So in classes we will cover all the interview questions also. We will cover the production environment also. Okay, so we will be covering each and everything side by side. Now let us start further. Okay, and let us check more thing over here. So LTM, I gave you an overview. When we are talking about GTM, GTM is your intelligent DNS, okay, and it will come into the picture when the traffic is not limited to your one data center, but there is multiple data centers are available, and you want to send the traffic over across another data center. But this is not like the traditional data center that, okay, with whichever is the present into the list or into the domain list, it will giving out that IP, but it will even check which data center or which IP is closer to me, or maybe which is free to use. Okay, so such that, like when we will discuss about GTM, we will cover about the GTM topic also. Then we have one more product in this family, which is again used very much into our networks. Okay, that is ASM. ASM is your web application firewall. We used to know about it by WAF. Okay, so it is a WAF or application security manager, which is sitting in between the client and the application server, or maybe we can say the illegitimate request. If something is coming to the servers, it will just check by using, attack signature, by using maybe file handling kind of stuff, parameter handling kind of stuff. There are lot of options available into the ASM, which is, more granular than your Palo Alto signatures and any other application, or you can say firewall signatures. Okay, so that is the reason your ASM is being used or being deployed even after Palo Alto. So some people are using how, maybe if they wanted to secure, if you have some kind of pharma company, some banking company, some kind of like that. So how the traffic will come? Traffic will come through your desktop, over the MPLS, over the internet, whatever the way is, then it will end up on one of the firewall. This firewall can be any firewall like Checkpoint, maybe Palo Alto, whatever firewall. Okay. After that, your big IP system will come into the picture. So when I am saying big IP means it can have LTM module and it can have ASM module. So currently I am giving you an overview about the ASM. So when we are running LTM and ASM, you can, by the way, run all of those modules over one box also. Okay. So when you are securing your big IP system through big IP system, it means you are provisioning ASM module. So by that way, ASM also coming in between and securing your applications like it is showing over the screen as well. So one request is coming, illegal request is coming, okay, hacker is doing that. This request even not going till the application server, that is, way off. But your ASM module, that is your big IP module again, okay, is giving out the response that, hey buddy, you cannot go ahead. I am stopping you right there because you are not a legitimate user. And such kind of stuff you can see, like there are multiple and multiple of the frauds which is happening that can be stopped on the basis of ASM. It is providing a very much granular security level for your HTTP and HTTPS traffic. If the traffic is legal, it will check, it will analyze. Okay, if it is, going through each and every phase, it is seems okay, it is correct, and there is no issue in the traffic. Then that request will be forwarded to the application servers, and then all over, howsoever your traffic is moving, it will be going like that. Now let us come to the big IP platforms. When we are talking about the big IP platforms, or maybe about the deployment, or maybe if you are not having big IP and you are just thinking in mind that, okay, I need to buy the big IP system, then you need to check about your capacity. So your capacity planning should be there, each and everything, like how much the traffic flow per second will become, like that. All of the data sheet you need to check. Guys, please mute yourself if there is no question. So you can select virtual editions, which can be, over the ESXi, or maybe on another platform. You can install that and you can run that. Okay, only the traffic routing and all of that stuff need to be tweaked out. You can have the physical appliance. Okay, it can be any of the range. Again, depend upon your environment to environment, what sort of, deployment you are looking for. Then you can have some kind of chassis. Okay, it is bit like your, Nexus bigger chassis, or maybe you can say 6500 chassis of the Cisco, where more than one slot can be added, like for LTM, for GTM, for ASM, different types. So usually it is used where there is a ISP kind of structure, or maybe more traffic is coming. Okay. Then in this slide, we are talking about the certifications. Okay, if you talk about the F5 certification, so first of all, you need to start with 101. 101 is the basic, exam where you are starting with, maybe you can say earlier in before this blueprint, okay, the new blueprint, it was bit like your CCNA syllabus, or maybe you can say about your networking syllabus. So when I am saying the networking syllabus, what does it mean? It means like the knowledge about the VLAN should be there. You should aware about what are the VLANs, okay, how it is segregating the traffic, what is about ARP, what is about maybe gracious ARP, okay. So these kind of stuff is coming into the networking. Then it can become, sir, how to find network virus? I mean overall LAN network and how to find traffic. Hey CS, I didn't get your question. Maybe you can unmute yourself and ask your question again. See, let me clear you. If you are just, confused with some kind of antivirus or something, it is not bit like that, antivirus, okay? It is bit like that when your traffic is coming, okay, and it is coming through the F5, then it will be analyzing each and everything like on some parameters that if traffic is, legitimate or no. Okay, so it is not bit like your antivirus kind of stuff. Okay, we cannot maybe do the overall LAN scanning or something like that. Do not get confused, please. Huh? So we were talking about the networking part. So like trunking, you should be aware about the trunks, like what are the trunk, what are the access port. Okay, you should be aware about the port channel. Okay, port channeling. I hope you guys are aware about it. Okay, then maybe you should be aware about HSRP, VRRP kind of setup, because here we will be using something known as self IPs, the floating self IP, the static self IP, maybe like that. Okay, we will be talking about that, all of the stuff. You will be able to understand later on when we will be discussing about it. So 101 exam, when you are clearing, you will not get any kind of certification. Okay, no certification will be provided by F5 at all. Then you need to pass on one more certification, that is known as 201. And once you clear these two both programs, you will be known as CA, that is Certified Administrator. Okay, and by that way you will be having a certification in your hand, which will be showing by the F5 that okay, you are certified from us. Okay, this exam will be having maybe some concepts, these having a good concepts of your big IP LTM units. Okay, so we will be covering these two in a great extent, and couple of we will be touching 301A also, that is the advanced level of your LTM kind of stuff. We will be talking about the how the new migration need to be done. We will be talking about how the production traffic need to be handled, what can be the production issues that can come in day-to-day life. We will be talking about the interview questions also, like what are the interview questions which are coming to us. Okay, when we are going for some kind of interview, for which questions we need to be prepared much, how the packet flow is going, we need to check that, how the TCP dumps, how the Wireshark packet, we will be talking each and everything in a very great extent. Don't worry. Okay, so let us proceed further. Meanwhile, CS, Mishra Dipanshu, Naresh, Nikhil, Parveen, Shaktivel, please one by one privately ping your phone numbers and email IDs to me, to the expert advice email ID. Okay, kindly provide that so that we can see that okay, all of you are from where to where, because multiple of the channels are coming over here, so that is required for us. Thank you. So it is your first class, by the way. It is first class we are giving as demo. So who didn't attend the demo, maybe there is an opportunity. You can come with us and be a part of the first class totally. Second class is also free. That is going on tomorrow. Okay, you can join second class also. So when we will be saying that, okay, how the big IP is looking, let us see about that. So here is a, the front panel, the rear view. Rear view is only having a couple of, ports and the fan ports, like kind of that kind of stuff. Okay. So here is your bit like the view of your big IP units. Okay. Now we will be talking about some packet based design, which I hope all of you guys should be working in your environment over the switches or over the router. How the packet flow there? You need to do routing over the routers or over the switches, and that's it. Okay, if you have the routing in place, it means your packet can go from here. If you have the router, maybe one router, two router, three router, doesn't matter how many routers, okay, and couple of the switches in between, or maybe some kind of cloud. If the routing part is okay, the packet will be going from here to there. And you are aware that there will not be any kind of, interception in between until or unless there is ACL is applied and your traffic is getting blocked explicitly. Okay. So that kind of format is known as packet based design. Okay. We will be talking about the packet based design more in more extent. Don't worry. Okay. So let us quickly check about it. So here you can see the packet based device is the device where the endpoint is not your in between device. Okay, the router is not endpoint, it is not entertaining the packet, it is just transferring the packet from one place to another place. What does that mean? The source would be your PCIP, destination would be your application IP. Okay, so when your packet is coming, this packet will be going through your router. So this packet is going through your router, not to your router. Okay, and that is the stuff that it is known as packet based design, that your packet is coming and it is going through your router from one place to another if routing part is okay. And we are doing that kind of stuff in our day-to-day life. So you can see here the request is coming from your PC to the application server. Response is generated by your application server only, not by the routers. Correct? Now, when we will be talking about the full proxy design, the case is little bit different. I hope you guys are aware about the proxy kind of architecture, or the what is the proxy is known as. There are some kind of proxies like full proxy, reverse proxy, forward proxy. I hope you guys are aware about it. If not, maybe let me give you a very quick overview about this section. Okay, so mostly all of you guys should have forward proxy in your environment. What is a forward proxy? Forward proxy means that all of the packet is going to your forward proxy. It is the last hope for that. After that, IP is getting maybe translated or something like that, and it is hiding the LAN information from the outside world. So outside world will not be aware about maybe your private schema, maybe about your all of the devices, because this forward proxy is acting as proxy. Means when like in school you are going and you are not present into the class and someone proxied you, right? He or she is saying yes, present sir or present madam in front of instead of you, right? Similarly here proxy means what? Proxy means that the device IP or device source is not going to the outside world, but instead of that your forward proxy is coming in between, and it is saying that okay, now it's my job, my duty to take this packet outside for the outside world. Okay, so that is how your forward proxy will be working. Means like packet is going till forward proxy, and after that the packet will be handled by the forward proxy only. Reverse proxy is just opposite to that, and again when our section will come, we will be talking about this in a great extent. Okay, let us now talk about the full proxy design. So full proxy design will be come into the picture when your packet is proxied from both sides, like it will be the forward proxy also and it will be the reverse proxy also. So earlier the request was going in packet based from here to your application server. It was your request, and the response was also sent back from your application server to the client from the application server only. But this time the case will be little bit different. And how it will be different? Request will be going only till big IP, and big IP will generate a response to the client. And how the application server then will come into the picture? Application server will be come into the picture because big IP intelligently from the backend will generate and one more session with application server, and this request will be come to the big IP system only. So your packet is going till big IP, and it is the job of big IP. It is a kind of mediocre in between the client and in between the application server, so that the session is now divided in between two parts. Okay, the first session will be in between your big IP system and client. So source will be your client, destination will be your big IP system. It will not be application server. Even the client will not be aware that who is entertaining my request. Here the source would be big IP system. Destination will be the application server. So at the end, ultimately or eventually, your request is landing up on the application server only. So it is the application server which is providing you the results. But you can see the client is not aware about that, right? So client is sending the request and big IP is sending that request to the application server. When application server is sending the response, the same response, maybe it can, modify also. It can modify that response. It all depend upon your settings. When we will be doing the profiles, you will be come into that part that, okay, how it will be done. Okay, and that response will be sent back to the client. Okay, so that is how your full proxy will be designed, and it is independent. Two sessions will be created, one between your client to the big IP system and one between your big IP system to the backend server. So that is how your full proxy will come into the picture. I hope you guys are now have a idea, okay, a fair idea about the full proxy. So you can see the request and response is coming into the green is your first packet flow. The request and response coming into the purple color into the right hand side is the second application flow. So there are two flows now. It is divided between or proxied between the big IP system. One is the forward proxy, one is the reverse proxy. So when both of the proxies will be, mixed, it is known as your big IP systems. Okay. So I hope you guys are aware about TCP. If not, let me, give you a very quick overview like how the TCP will work so that we can come to this slide and talk about. So if you are aware, please bear with me. If you are not, please understand about this fact. And if there is any doubt, you can ask me. So normally, when there is a interaction between a client and in between a server, how the TCP request will be done? The client will send a SYN packet. Server will acknowledge and will send SYNACK. And it will say, server will say, okay, I got your message, right? Then client will say that, okay, I got to know that it is your, you got my request and I am acknowledging this. After this communication, your main data will be sent between the client to the server. So first this process is known as TCP handshake, or we used to say it as three-way handshake also. I hope you guys are aware about this step. After the three-way handshake, the data will be transferred from here to there. And on which layer it is working? Anyone? So if we will talk about the OSI layer, which is having the 7 layers into it, okay, it will be working on the layer 4. Okay, layer 4 is your transport layer where your TCP and UDP packet will be come into the picture. TCP is your connection oriented and UDP is your connectionless, okay, protocol. So it is how it will be working into the real scenarios that your SYN packet will become, SYNACK packet will become, and ACK packet will become. Now, if we will talk about in the term of, full proxy architecture, so we will be able to see that client is establishing the TCP packet or the TCP flow with your big IP, okay, and your big IP is initiating and one more TCP connection with your server. So as I told you in previous slide that this time there are two flows. One flow is between client and big IP, second flow between your big IP system, okay, and your end server. After the TCP handshake, the exact data will come. That data will be forwarded, okay, it will be analyzed, it will be checked. If it need to be modified, it will be get modified. After modification, it will be sent to the server. Whatever the response will come, that response will be analyzed again. If it need to be changed, some kind of cookie settings, some another settings need to be changed, some compression headers or maybe some kind of SNAT rules need to be removed, it will remove that, and after that it will be going back to your client as it is. So for your client, this is not visible and it is transparent at all. Okay, it is client is not aware about this server, and it is only aware about your big IP system. Okay, how it will be work, how the packet will flow. Okay, what about the SNAT, without SNAT, how the destination NAT happening, we will be talking, maybe not in today's class, but later on we will be cover all of these things in a very good extent. Okay, then we will be talking about packet can be viewed and packet can be modified by big IP system since it is having full proxy architecture. If it would not have the full proxy architecture available, it cannot be able to, view the packet or modify the traffic behavior, because it is the endpoint between the client and server. That is the reason it can check, it can modify some kind of traffic flow if required as and when. Okay. And on the basis of that, we have some kind of advantage available to us, okay, because we are having the full proxy architecture available. So we have some kind of advantages over here. Since there are two individual traffic flow, it can happen that one side it is IPv6 and another side it will be IPv4. It can be vice versa also. Okay, maybe your servers are your servers are supporting IPv6 only. Okay, so at that time, end to end, you can use from here to here IPv6, but from your client to big IP you can use IPv4. So it is, but obvious it can be used because your big IP system is working into the full proxy architecture, or you can say it is proxying up the session, or you can say it is the endpoint. Okay, the data is getting finished over here and the second data is initiated from here to here. Okay, and that data which is going to the endpoint is again modified a lot. Okay, so that is one advantage. There are multiple of other advantages available, like what, like your compression profile. So if you are using some kind of compression profiles, there are a couple of algorithms which will be used, deflate or something like that. We will be covering that when we will be going to the profile section. So in that case, you would be able to see that from client to big IP, data will be compressed. Okay, and from your big IP system to the end server, it will be uncompressed. What is the use of that? Use of that is, that over the internet packet can be slow, right? So if you are sending 50 MB file and if you are converting it somehow maybe to 35 MB, okay, it means you are saving your bandwidth. You can send more data in particular that time of period. So you can use compression over here. And since your big IP system is doing the unencryption also, that is how the burden over the server is also waived off. Okay, there is no more burden on your server side. Okay, so that is how it can be used, the compression profiles over the internet. You are aware that the delay is the main problem, right? So that is how you can use your compression and uncompression kind of profiles. Then what is the use? The main use is SSL offloading is a very generic term which, you know, in the interviewer, multiple of the teachers are asking, or maybe you can say interviewers are asking. So what does this mean, the encrypted and unencrypted, and how it handles? So it is all about what I told you, HTTPS, right? HTTPS means it is a secure socket which is opened, and how it is validating and how it is secured with the usage of the certificate. So that there is something known as CSR. We will be covering that later on, okay, in very good extent when we will be going to the further classes. Okay, I will be showing you that how to create CSR, how to send it, because in your production environment it is very much important. Okay, and I will tell you each and every part of the CSR. What is the root CA? What all the CA need to be selected? What is self-signed? What is, you know, public authority CAs, or certified authorities? Okay, so we will be talking about that in very great extent. You will be creating a CSR and a private key, okay, over the big IP system. And similarly, when your CA is sending, it will be coming up with your public key. When your packet is coming, in the secure manner, only your big IP system able to open it, because it has that private key associated with that. When you created the CSR, automatically it will be generated. There is no requirement to, you know, generate it explicitly. It will be generated automatically. We will be checking that when we will be covering our profiles. So in that way, what we are providing? We are providing the facility that from here to here, when my traffic is coming, it will be having HTTPS traffic. Okay, there is SSL chip which is used over our F5, which is, you know, used for our SSL offloading. Okay, now from here to here, traffic is encrypted and unencrypted. When you are sending traffic over here into the plain way, it means you are reserving your server resources a lot. It is not now it is wave off from the, you know, like SSL encryption and decryption kind of stuff. So that is how your encryption and unencryption will come into the picture when you are talking about the full proxy architecture. And again, nothing is a thumb rule, right? If in your environment there is some kind of, you know, security concerns and security issues, that, you know, I need to have the encrypted traffic, even it is my own data center or even it is my own LAN, but I don't want to take the risk. Okay, it all depend upon you. One certificate will be installed over the F5, so that your F5 can unencrypt the data and view and modify couple of the things. And when it will be sending the traffic from here to the end server, it can send it into the encrypted way again. Same with the compression form, same with the IPv6 form, whatever the form is. Okay, and when we are saying that big IP system is using and the big full proxy architecture, it is a very big heading. But believe me, you can ask a very tricky question from the interviewer, that okay, will the big IP system always working in the full proxy architecture? And if you say yes, it means if I am the interviewer, I will catch you in one line that you have not worked on the big IP system. Reason behind, there are couple of the virtual server types which don't follow full proxy architecture at all. Okay, so at that time you should be very much aware that okay, what the interviewer is asking from me. And when you are working in your production environment and you have some kind of, you know, specific requirement that it needs to be followed out like this way only, then you should be aware about this theory part, this practical part. By the way, I will be giving you the lab which you can build on your own PC, right? If you have maybe 8 GB of RAM available, okay, you can keep it on your desktop. If you don't have that kind of resource, don't worry, I can provide it on my server through the internet. You can access that, you can use that. Okay, so for lab, I will say, I don't know like how many people, how many of you are having currently, you know, some knowledge over the F5 or no. If you have some knowledge, you just practice more and more, more and more, more and more. We will be providing you, you know, different type of workbooks. You just use that, leverage it for your usage, do more and more practice, so that it can be like you can be digest. Excuse me. sorry. So you can easily digest all the data which we are providing in your 2 hours. Okay, so this class will be 2 hours from 8:30 to 10:30 for this batch particularly, but the batch timing can be changed as per the availability of the candidates. Okay, and it is a weekend class, the Saturday and Sunday. So let us proceed for our next maybe usage of full proxy architecture. Meanwhile, just I want to request you, Naresh, Rajat, Santosh, please provide me 101 your phone number and your email ID so that we can contact you later on after this class also. And this class and Sunday's class, maybe tomorrow's class, is absolutely free. Okay. So second thing is, if we want to modify the data, you can see the layer 7 data is coming from client to the big IP system, and big IP system is sending the modified data to the server. So that kind of stuff can be used over here, like you can tweak the proxy setting, you can tweak the cookie setting, you can tweak the maybe source IP setting when you are using SNet, that is, tweaking the source IP even. So you can use multiple and multiple of the settings. You can tweak with that. You can play with that if you have knowledge about that. Okay, how to tweak with these kind of settings. So this is all about your full or a overview about the full proxy architecture. Okay, how we can use our big IP system in a full proxy architecture. Now let us talk about the OS. Okay, what is the operating system, where it is working as. So as most of your operating systems, either it is Cisco, Juniper, or maybe any other vendor, is built upon Linux. Likewise, your TMOS, that is your traffic management operating system, that is used for your big IP unit or big IP products, either it is LTM, GTM, ASM, APM, whatever. Okay, so it will be using TMOS kind of stuff, which is again built up on a Linux thing. Okay, so let us talk about that. So when we will be covering, the IAPS, or maybe when we will be going to the GUI part, CLI part, TMSH part, we are using these kind of stuff. So what is this? Let us talk about. GUI means, you all are aware that when you are taking the access through some kind of browsers, right? Either it is Chrome, Firefox, or whatever browser it is, okay? And you are going over there and you are just taking HTTPS and whatever the IP address of your device. You are logging through that, it means you are going through the GUI. CLI means you are accessing is any kind of maybe emulator, it would be putty or something else, okay? A secure CRT, whatever you are using. Using that port number 22, you are SSHing it. You will be going into the mode like config and the hash symbol. This mode is your Linux understanding mode. This mode is also known as bash. Okay, bash utility. So you will be into the bash utility, where you can play with multiple and multiple of the file system of your big IP system. But when we will be talking about traffic management will be done by TMOS only, the traffic management shell. Okay. So traffic management shell is the TMSH. So when you are logging into the big IP system through the command line and you are going into this mode, you need to write down TMSH and you will be into TMOS. Okay, you will be into TMOS, and from here you can configure the management of big IP system as and how required. So this is whole about your operating system, like how it will be done, and when how the command follow the T structure architecture, and all of the stuff we will be covering in later on our sections. Okay, we will be going over there, yeah, very good extent we will be checking that. Now let us talk about a very quick tour about the NetMinion big IP, or maybe you can say the LTM lab setup. So how would be our lab setup and how you guys will be, setting up on your PC. So I am not providing the all insights about it. I am just giving you the overview. Okay, only the registered candidates will have the opportunity to learn about like how to go through the lab. Okay, and how to build your own lab on your own desktop. So we will be having one PC, okay, and again all of these stuff are the virtuals. We will be installing two big IP systems which will be working in HA later on. Okay, first we will be covering like management IP to take the management of the big IP system, then external VLAN when our external traffic is coming for the or hitting to the big IP system, internal VLAN which is I hope it is not loaded yet. So internal VLAN when your traffic is hitting to your one of the server. Okay. So then we can see there are some kind of the IPs like static IPs there, the floating IPs are there. Okay. So there are self IPs, floating IPs. These all are the concepts which we will be covering maybe by tomorrow. Okay. And we will be covering also all of these things. Okay. Then management IP I already provided you for OOB or out of band management. I hope you guys are aware about it. You require a management port, and into the management port you are just selecting it and you are taking the management of the device. Okay, just allow me a minute please. So guys, from some of you I still not received the update. Please provide me over the chat. Okay, I am just maybe to everyone I am saying hi. You can privately ping me your phone number and your email ID, those who have not done yet. So this message is for Santosh, for Rajat and for Ramesh. Sorry, Naresh. Now this is the big IP lab setup tour. Okay, how we will be using this lab setup and how we will be working over here when we will be setting up our lab. Then when we will talk about our maybe high overview about what is the inside into the hardware. So remember I was talking about the SSL kind of stuff, that there is a SSL accelerator card. So now we will be saying all of those things. Processor, you are all aware about that processor should be there for processing any kind of traffic. Then we can see at the point B, here is the SSL accelerated card which is applied and which is used for your SSL traffic. So it will handle your SSL offloading kind of stuff. Then point C is AOM. I hope you guys are aware, but if not, AOM is always on management, and it is bit a separate subsystem that provide light out management for the big IP system using 10, 100 or 1000 Ethernet management port. Okay, over the SSH or over the serial console cable. AM also enable you to manage, big IP platform system using the SSH on the, I told you, on the serial cable. Okay. And the most important thing is, even if the host subsystem is turned off, it will be, operate independently from your host subsystem. Okay. If it is not responding even then it will be there. Right. So then 8G CF card is your compact flash card kind of stuff. So if you wanted to maybe install, or you wanted to boot the system through some kind of compact flash card, you can use that kind of stuff over here. So this is your 3600 internal settings which is provided. Now let us quickly check what is the rear view, how we can check our multiple of the stuff into the big IP system. Okay. So I told you that for your OOB, okay, for your out of band management, you will be using the management port. Okay, and you can easily see that there is a management port available on your device, which will be going to your switch, and this is your maybe the management switch from where from outside world you are taking the management of your device. There is a console cable, there is a failover port. It is used in your HA kind of stuff. When we will be covering our HA, the high availability lab, high availability will be used when you required a active and standby scenario. Okay, so when you will be using like that, then it will be come into the picture. USB means if using USB you wanted to use something, maybe you wanted to insert the new OS like that. Okay, these are your traffic handling ports. Okay, and if you require the 10 gig ports, maybe the uplink ports, you can have the 10 gig SFP ports also. Again, the fan ports, LCD panel to check each and everything over here. If there is some kind of error message coming, it will be popping up over here. There is a control, you can see it, and through this panel, if you are present over there over the data center or maybe over the site where the device is residing, you can use these kind of stuff. So in the back side, there is only fan ports are there, or maybe only the fan or something like that thing is available over there. Okay, so this is the front side which is explained to you. Now the very important stuff is when you are having your F5 ready and you are just fetching it out from the box, okay, and it is a brand new device. When you are using maybe the management address or through the serial cable, by default there is a IP which is came on the device, and that is 192.168.1.245. Okay, some people used to say that if we convert 245 into the hexadecimal, okay, it will be leading to F5. So some people used to say that that is the reason they are providing such kind of IP, okay, because it is leading to the F5 only into the hexadecimal. So it all depends like which story you are believing on. Okay, now when you are logging into the device, by default this will be your IP. You need to change this IP using the command. Okay, maybe we will cover it later on. Okay, maybe by tomorrow we will be covering it, and we will be touching our whole device. Okay, by tomorrow we will be starting it up. So for today, you just remember that whenever we are plugging our brand new device, and we wanted to access this device, we have some kind of by default IP available, that is 192.168.1.245 for your big IP units. For big IQ, there is a change that this IP would be 246. Okay, I will provide you the whole of the stuff also. Subnet is /24. Huh? So for big IQ or VPN chassis, as you can able to see over this particular slide, that you will be having the IP 192.168, and the third octet is also different, 2.246, and again the subnet mask is same, that is /24/24. Okay, so by default if you wanted to access it, you can access it. So once you are going to take the SSH using this IP, you can type config command, right? When you are running the config command, it means it will give you a pop-up where it will ask, okay, do you want to change the management IP or no? You will select yes. It is bit like your ESXi. If you have installed our VMware ESXi, bit like that. Okay, it will ask why or no. Then you need to use your upper key, lower key, that kind of stuff, the escape, the enter, this kind of stuff. Then it will ask, okay, what is the subnet mask? Okay, what is the default gateway? So do you want to make a default route or no? You need to select yes or no. Okay, so all of the step, if you are following it up, it means you are changing your management IP address of your device. Okay, so if you will be checking it, here are the all of the screenshots which will be coming to you when you are running config command, and we will be checking all of these commands tomorrow. In tomorrow's class, we will be doing this. We will be doing provisioning. We will be doing licensing together. Okay. So here we are just showing you that when your device is coming up that with the default IP, you can change the management IP using the command config. So you are putting IP address, you are putting net mask. If you want to change the management route, you can change that. You can put the management route, and to accept this setting, you are just pressing Y or no, yes or no. Okay. After that, you can take the big IP system using GUI, okay, the graphical user interface, HTTPS by any of the browser. Then the configuration utility using your SSH tool, okay, and into this you can use through management port, self IPs, AOM. I already talked about always on management, SCCP, serial cable, whatever the way you can go into the SSH port and you can select your device and you can use your device through the SSHing to the device directly. So here is the one way that is provided to you, that once you have changed your IP address, you just go to the browser, use the HTTPS, that is the secured connection, with that followed by that particular IP, and your big IP system will be open like it is showing to the screen right away. But first thing, when you don't have the license available over the system, which is not there by default, the thing which is presented in your left pan would not be look like same. It will be look like that do the licensing part first, and we will be doing licensing part tomorrow. Okay, and provisioning, licensing and provisioning, we will be doing it tomorrow, and we will be checking it together that what are the procedure that needs to be taken care when we are doing licensing and provisioning part. Okay, and after licensing and provisioning, if you are using maybe the ASM, one more field will be available over here like this tab. One more tab will be appear, and that tab is known as security. You can enable multiple and multiple of the modules depending upon the license, which is again you need to buy from the F5. Second thing, the device capability should be there. Okay, you should be having a very fair idea about your device, what is the capability, what is the assessment of the device. Do the device assessment first. If it is capable to handle that kind of traffic, that kind of modules it can observe, then go ahead and provision that kind of modules. Like here we have provisioned GTM, we have provisioned LTM kind of stuff. Okay, so that kind of stuff you can see. Okay, and you can able to check, like if there is a ASM also, then security field will also come into the picture and you will be able to see the security. Like into our when you will be doing maybe if ASM with us, you will be able to see that what are the security fields and what all are the fields available into the security. So security is again a whole world inside into that. So as I told you, depends upon the provisioning, what thing is coming to you, okay, what you are watching. So that is all about your GUI step, like it will be visible like this. Then if you wanted to do SSH similarly as Cisco devices, as any other vendors, you just go to PuTTY or PuTTY, whatever you say, just push the host name, put the port 22 for the SSH, open it, and your device will be opened. And here you will be providing the password. And by default, the username would be root. Password will be password. Okay. Then when you are logging into it, I told you that it will be prompting to you a config kind of prompt. And this prompt is your bash utility. Okay, this is your bash utility, which means it will understand Linux commands like ls minus l. See, I am not the Linux expert, but I can tell you, couple of the command ls minus l, vi, more, etc. And believe me, for the F5 administrator, you don't require much of the Linux commands to be learned. Okay, there will be couple of these commands which will be, sufficient for us. Main thing is for the TMSH. When you will be going to the TMSH, you will be feel like that it is bit like Cisco or something like that. I will be showing you maybe by tomorrow when we will be provisioning our F5 together. Then I will show you that okay, how we can use the configuration utility and how we can use the traffic management shell for our usage. So what we need to do? We need to do licensing, we need to do provisioning. Okay, just allow me a minute. I hope some of the thing going up with this image, let me remove it if it is not coming. So one thing I forget to told you, that there are two username and password will be coming by default. One is admin, it will be used for your GUI, and one is root, it will be used for your CLI. Even when you do the authentication with AD or LDAP or maybe any kind of authentication server, then all of the local users which you are creating will be vanished or will be wiped out. It will be no longer available. There is a setting. If you wanted to make it available, you can, but that will not, then suffice our requirement of the AD. Then what is the requirement of AD? So by default, you will be removing them. If you are removing them, it means it will be no longer, available. But in that case also, admin and root will be working for you. So if there is some kind of authentication issue, you need to go with this kind of credential, that is, you can say the super user, maybe you can say. Okay, from here we will be configuring multiple of the things like the IP address, how to check that, and again the netmin has the couple of IP schema I will be providing to you in our subsequent classes. I will say just stick with that IP schema throughout the class, and after the class, howsoever you want to play, you just play with that, so that you should not have unnecessary subnetting kind of doubt or any subnetting kind of confusions. Okay, so IP addresses we will be using for our internal VLAN. Internal VLAN means which is going towards the server. Okay, internal VLAN, external VLAN means which is going toward the external client. Okay, the client which is coming from the internet or maybe somewhere else, MPLS or some another form. Okay, then we will be using HA VLAN. HA VLAN means high availability VLAN, which will be coming into the picture when you want to combine two big IP systems with each other. Okay, then your HA VLAN will be coming into the picture. And one more VLAN which we will be using is for the management perspective, that we need to take management from our big IP unit to our PC. So that is how our 4 VLANs will be coming into the picture when we will be doing the lab setup. You will be able to see. Okay. So meanwhile, I am providing you information. You just check it and you just start doing it, because tomorrow I would like to say that you can go with me. The person who are the registered one, I will let you know like how to install. I will give you the softwares and all of the stuff, required stuff, that how to install it on your on your laptop or on your desktop, and you start building you will be start building our lab from the next weekend. Okay, but tomorrow I will be showing you that you need to log in and register. First step over here. Okay, over this link I will be providing this link you over the chat also, just copy from there, and then you need to ask for the keys. Okay, then you need to download the software. If you don't have the download, launch it. Okay, and using this key you will be having 30 days of free eval period for using your LTM module, your GTM module, or your ASM module, any module. Okay, maybe AVR or something, another module. If you wanted to use, you can use that into that kind of stuff. Okay, so it will be your 4 steps of performa we need to follow when we will be doing licensing. Okay, and let me give you an overview of the licensing, so that when we will be starting licensing tomorrow, you will be able to catch okay what the licensing is and how we need to do the licensing is. I hope multiple of you have already licensed. The throughput license you should have installed over the Cisco, or maybe some another license you should have been installed over the Cisco or any other vendor. Okay, likewise here also we need to do the licensing part when we need to do when we will talking about our F5 kind of setup. Okay, just allow me a minute please. So far is there any doubt? You can ask guys.
Yeah,